Hey y'all, it's Donna. I'm going to show you guys a clip from Dana Ashley's new video, and I'll link the rest in the description. But this parking lot right here is my local hospital. We went like a week ago. My daughter was sick and I wanted her to be tested for strep. So I figured I might as well film and see, what's going on when I got there. The parking lot, what you see is everybody who basically works there, because there's a clinic next door. We have a very small town. But yeah, it was empty, and I want to show you this because I want to help people understand how. I know a lot of people can't rationalize how this could be in their mind, how the media could be lying like this, how, they're sending ships here, they're sending refrigerated trucks. It's all over the news every day. And people can't fathom how in their head, how could they be lying about something like this? And so when I say people are under a spell, or, people are asleep, it's called faith. People have faith that people like me are the silly ones. They can turn on their TV and hear trusted news. Those people wouldn't lie. And so I'm going to explain how. But first, I want you to watch just a few clips that Dana Ashley uploads, and I want you to just pay close attention. That's all. If you have to rewatch it, do that. Go to the link, watch it over again, and just keep watching it as long as it takes for you to shut out all the other noise and just see reality. Just watch reality.
Family, it's me, Miss Dana Ashley. Today we're out getting a little exercise, but I wanted to report something that is amazing. In an earnest attempt to sort fact from fiction, citizen reporters are popping up and hitting the streets to verify whether or not what we're hearing about these hospitals is true.
Approximately how many coronavirus patients have you seen? How many? You don't know? 2? 100? 3. You've seen 3.
So again, there are no lines of people. There is no mass chaos out here, contrary to what the mainstream media is telling you.
How do you know they had coronavirus? Do you guys test in the ambulance? You don't know. You assume.
Yeah, assume. It's not concrete. It's assumed based off of symptoms.
Symptoms?
Can you blame Americans for wanting to verify the truth when networks like CBS are doing things like this?
Cases are being found right here. Crowded subway cars may have accelerated the spread. New York's governor says FEMA gave the state 400 ventilators. To that, he said this.
What am I going to do with 400 ventilators when I need 30,000?
So when you're watching this from CBS, the slant, is the great need for the equipment. We don't have enough equipment. So the crowded ER shot demonstrates we have an epicenter of this disease in New York, and we don't have enough. We need 30,000 ventilators. But the only problem is this footage has already run on Sky News on March 22nd talking about Italy. Yeah.
This is the main hospital in Bergamo in Lombardy province. It's one of the most advanced hospitals in Europe. But it's the most hard-hit of all the hospitals.
Once again this morning, the city's hospitals will be on the front lines in this war against the coronavirus. In Elmhurst, Queens, that hospital there, lines of people lining up already this morning for about the last 45 minutes. Confirmed cases, people waiting to get tested. Supplies are in demand there.
Somebody said there would be hordes of people inside. That's why I didn't go in. Let's see. The doctor with his mask on and everything. And look at that. Nobody. Completely empty. This is police, no EMS, nothing. Nothing, absolutely.
So when I went to the hospital, I did talk to the nurse there, and he also works at the bigger city near us. So, he sees where the most traffic is. And he was saying they have test kits, but they weren't testing anyone. Even if they had symptoms, like his friend was sick and had all of the symptoms, but they wouldn't test him because he hadn't traveled out of the country. So they were saying they didn't have enough test kits at first. And now I don't know what they're doing because they've gotten more. But even if they are testing a lot more people, I'm hearing that the test kits are not very accurate. I will try to find something on that to be sure. So yeah, if they're not testing everyone, the numbers are going to be lower and the death rate is going to be higher. That's common sense. But back to how they've hoodwinked everyone, the spell that everyone is under, and people are laughing at people like me, acting like we're just nuts. We're conspiracy people. Like we're making this up in our head. No, we are actually looking at the reality around us, and we're trying to decipher what is going on because we know the news lies. I will give you links if you need to help understanding this, but the news lies. And this is what I'm talking about when I mention the compartmentalization of these sorts of things. You don't understand how, though. How? How could they be lying? How could President Trump be up there lying? Why would they do all this? They, individually, as individuals, they are doing their jobs. And a lot of them probably believe it, just like you, or just like somebody that is scared to death in their house. They believe it. They believe what they're talking about. That's their reality. They're being told this is true, and they're doing their jobs. Just like the news anchors, they're getting their scripts. Corporate media is owned by like a few companies, a handful of companies, so they all get like the same sort of scripts. So they're just doing their jobs, and they probably believe it. It's not like they are all lying to us. They're all in on it, quote unquote. So you have to really understand it in those terms. Does President Trump realize? He seemed like he used to be sort of rational and could gauge these things by himself, but now I guess he's playing along, or he believes it as well. And all it took to activate all of these different means of, systems, all it took was labeling this a pandemic. The CDC, the WHO, that's all it took. And are they lying? No. A novel virus that is, spreading across the world, that's technically a pandemic. Do you see? The CDC has so many ways, so many little loopholes like this where they do this with the measles numbers. They use third world statistics. They say like 1 out of 1,000 will die of the measles when people remember the measles. So every time there's like a measles scare and they're being told how deadly this is, more of the boomers are like, no, I remember, my mom tells me she went to school with measles on her belly, itching it, and it was like just a rash to everybody. Everybody got like a little cold and a rash. Sometimes it was more severe. But people remember those things, so you can't lie about those. They twist the numbers, that's what they do, and then they give the reports to the media. The media parrots this stuff. People sitting at home watching their news. Some people do this all day. They will not get their information anywhere else. They think everybody else is, stupid or loony or whatever. And so that's what they know. That's the reality they know. They cannot even fathom in their mind another way this could be. They cannot fathom it. These people are professional. They would not lie. It's called faith. That's what this is. It's faith. So with measles, we know just from looking at the U.S., populations, and we had the numbers back from when it was a common illness, and we can see that, okay, it's like 1 out of 10,000 deaths. So, what are they doing? What are they doing with that? Oh, They're counting third world statistics. This is just one example. But I'm just telling you this example because when there's a measles outbreak and they tell you it's the fault of the anti-vaxxers and that everybody's going to die, you got to hurry and start making these laws where people have to, they're forced to get these vaccinations if they want to go to school or whatever. And that never like swept across and worked through and through because people remember. The reality for them is different. They're not just hearing this and learning this stuff on the news. So what would a pandemic do? A pandemic that has literally brought this world to our knees, to where we are, having to bring refrigerated trucks over to hospitals to stack up the dead bodies. We're having to bring in ships to help, give more locations for all of these sick people. What would that do? That ain't no measles. And it doesn't matter the reality of this. It doesn't matter how deadly this really is. It doesn't matter what numbers we can look at and how we can compare this to the flu. What matters is the minds of the public, the mass population. If they are all in a slumber, if they believe this, if they look at all of this footage and they make excuses for it, if they, try to rationalize, oh, well, maybe that was a different day. Well, maybe, I don't know. I'm just not going to think about it no more because that don't make sense in my worldview. That's what matters, because it'll be those people who vote these things into law and to, make them mandatory. And so when you hear the word they, don't get all caught up in that thinking conspiracy. The head of the CDC could give some sort of orders like this. This could be just one or a handful of people that are being hyper pragmatic. They're being preventative. What do you think Trump's staff is doing? What do you think all of the people that are giving these sort of orders? They may believe this shit. These official numbers they're getting from the WHO and the CDC, these are their, overlords. They have faith. They have unshakable faith in these systems. This is what people have to understand. So when I talk about viruses or anything, this is how these systems can be so wrong. This is how it can be wrong. It starts from the top. The respectable, trusted, professional people, they have a theory, a set of ideas, a plan, a whatever, and then it trickles down. Everyone else is just doing their job. They've got their marching orders. And then when the public hears it all, they just have faith. That's how it works. The consensus wins out over truth.
It's a religion at this point. It's a really weird, really sad religion.